Well, welcome, Rita. It is so wonderful to be talking to you, and congratulations on this book.
Thank you.
It feels so good. The feel of the
Now, do
cover.
you have the actual book, or is that the galley?
This is the galley. It was
Okay.
described to me as the galley
Yes, it
by
is.
your
And I have
publisher.
here the actual hard copy,
Okay.
with a added information in it. It does have my family tree is in it. Quite a few other things that are in there too. So
I was going to ask you about your family tree because I thought maybe I overlooked it. So share how you are related as the great niece of Harriet Tubman.
sure. Well, first of all, I didn't know we were related to her until I was around 9 years old. However, my mom was 21 and her sister, there's five in her family and everyone is a 5 year part difference. Aunt Pauline is 97 and she's the oldest living one right now. And so when I was in school, I was told that I had to do a report on Harriet Tubman. Um, I'm from Auburn, N.Y. as well. That's where Harriet Tubman lived the last 50 plus years of her life. I didn't understand why I was chosen to do that. There were only 3 Blacks in my classroom. And of course, we were each given a Black person. We couldn't choose or pick who we wanted to speak on. And so I went home and I was telling my mother that I had to do a report on Harriet Tubman, but wasn't she a fugitive? And, because in my book at the time, because I'm 70 years old, and during my time, they had one paragraph about Harriet Tubman, that she was wanted. She was a fugitive because she stole slaves and she stole money. She did all these things. And I was like, why? I don't understand why I'm going to write about a person that was a fugitive. And my mom says, have a seat, Rita, because you need to know your story, your history. And that's when she told me that I was related to Harriet Tubman. She says, Harriet Tubman is your 3 times great aunt. She's my 2 times great aunt. And she says, and Rita, I just want to let you know that I didn't find out until I was 21. My mother's mother is, okay. My grandmother, which is my mother's mother, was one of Harriet Tubman's favorite nieces. And from that standpoint, she pretty much wanted to protect Harriet Tubman's whole life. And they were sworn to secrecy. And so they never told anyone because they knew where she was. They knew that she was hiding. Right. And so that was part of where I learned who she was and what she was all about and why she did it. And I understood slavery even more because when in Auburn, N.Y., where Harriet Tubman lived the last 50 years of her life, I didn't know racism. I was friends with white, Black, no matter what, but our classrooms were very limited to Blacks. We only had 3 or 4 in the classroom. I never experienced it until my father took us to Alabama. I was about 9 or around that same age because I was so inquisitive.
What do you want the reader to get out of this book first? And then how would you describe it? Would you say that it includes insights from your family passed down through generations? And I was reading about Minty, which was her grandmother, right?
Minty was
not Minty, Modesty. Excuse me,
Modesty.
Modesty.
Modesty was Minty's grandmother.
Right. Minty was Harriet. And some of the way that the stories that are described or the experiences that are described, right, that Modesty went through, seems like these might be experiences that were told through the generations. Is that how you would describe it?
Well, Through the generations and through a lot of our research where we would go back and forth trying to find out, okay, did this really happen and so forth. We wanted to make sure that we had the information correct. But also, if you look at Harriet Tubman, we're looking at, in the book, it's speaking of the journey that she went through in order to get or obtain her freedom. So it was a journey. It started with her grandmother, Modesty, in Ghana, how she was snatched from over there and brought to the States, to Maryland. And she gave birth, of course, she was John Green. John Green was her master. He purchased her. And she ended up having Harriet's mother. They called her Rit, but her name was Henrietta. But they called her Rit. And that's so funny because my mother says, and Rita, your name is Rita. Do you understand? Rit.
How do you capture for you as a family member her resilience and her drive to do the things that she did?
I look at the strength that she had. She passed away when she was 92, and she never got caught. And she was a fighter, a person who didn't take no as an answer. You'll probably read in that book where she went to Thomas Garrett asking for money. She went to William Seward also asking for funding so she could help feed. However, I went through a lot of turmoil. And my mother would always remind me of how Harriet Tubman got up and kept going. Those words never left me. Now, when I was a young girl, I didn't really put her whole life together until I got older. And as I got older, I started realizing, here's what I'm going through. And I have to get back up, because if Harriet could do it as a slave, I can do it today. And that's what we want people to realize from the book. It's not so much, buy the book just for the fact that she was Harriet Tubman, but understand why she did what she did. She's the reason for a lot of us to be free today. And that's what we want people to get that book for, from the standpoint of how did she do it? Why did she do it? It has a lot of the information in there. And that was the research that we did alongside my co-writer.
It takes something inside of her, it's something, the way that she was created, it seems to me, to put her life on the line the way that she did over and over and over again. And I believe I saw an interview, and I think it was your mother, because your mother is Geraldine Coates
yes.
Daniels, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so your mom was making a comment about Harriet having a dream, and God came to her in the dream. Would you speak to that a little bit?
Certainly. When Harriet had the dreams, it was during a time when she was around 13 years old, where she was hit in the head. And she was hit in the head because a slave master was trying to catch a slave runner who was trying to run away. And they were in a store, and he threw a weight toward the slave, but it hit her, because what she didn't do, she didn't move. It hit her in the head, and from that, she started having sleep deprivation. Well, not so much deprivation, but she had sleep issues. Sometimes she would be talking to someone and then just doze off and fall asleep. And it was possibly the narcolepsy that she ended up having. So during that time, that's when she started having all of these dreams. And the dreams were on what she needed to do to become a free woman. It helped her when she was already running to go different ways as opposed to going to the same way that she always went. So she changed routes on a regular basis, changed her clothing on a regular basis. But these were some of the premonitions that she got from the Heavenly Father.
Telling her to go this way, do something at a certain point in time.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay. And,
you know, once she fell asleep, 9 times out of 10, she had another dream. She was going to go one way, but then she would wake up and say that I was told to go this way, or wait, don't go now, wait. Because, of course, they were looking for her.
Yeah. How do you think the work that she did, how do you think that translates to just culturally Black women today, and the burdens that some women carry? It could be politically, it could be in their community, it could be in their families, because there was something, the way that Harriet was is not, I mean, again, to me, it's something like she was born with this drive and love, you know, in her heart for other people. And she was obviously a Black woman. And how do you think that translates to Black women today?
I think we look at from the standpoint, if she could do it when she didn't have all the extras. We didn't have cars. She used her feet. She had to beg, borrow, and plead, and she was what you would call a socialist. She would ask for help. And so today, it should, even for me, when I feel that I have no way out of something, or I've got to figure out certain things, I look at what Harriet Tubman was able to accomplish as a slave. And that's what other people need to look at. If she could do it when she didn't have the extras that we have today,
right,
then I know I can do it with the extras that are in front of me.